So why celebrate everything? Because I think Canadians need to make good on their promise of being multicultural. I do not believe that we live in a country or a culture that is multicultural. I believe we are diverse, absolutely, but I think that diversity has always existed. But our culture reflects the culture of a dominant culture, ultimately of white culture. Whereas in order to be included and accepted, one must give up one's own cultural perspective, irregardless of how many years you've lived here in Canada, and adopt white culture to be included into quote unquote Canadian culture. By moving towards celebrating everything, what we do is we take what is typically seen as foreign, which is people of color and people who come from cultural communities that are not from the dominant culture, and we make them local. We make good on a promise to move our city and I think our country to being truly multicultural versus unicultural. And when we do that, what we do is we increase the understanding and the connections between different communities and between people who are typically seen on opposite sides of the fence. And in doing so, I think we move to make our society anti-racist. I think we resolve the problem of racism by treating our culture as a public health initiative that changes our thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors and our engagement with one another, irregardless of our culture, our ethnicity, our faith, and our identity. Well, the purpose of Celebrate Everything is not to be tokenistic, right? And so the goal is to ultimately move past tokenism. The goal is to actually be an authentic multicultural society where the holidays of all cultural and community groups are celebrated equally as well as the holidays of those from the dominant Canadian and or white community. And I think the more we do that, the more we move to that sense of multiculturalism. That means that we need stat holidays that reflect those days off. Now, there's a set number of holidays that aren't that many, 8 to 10, that if we include those, we include everybody. And in doing so, and in having everybody have those days off, what it does is it attributes credit to the communities that celebrate those holidays for those days off, but it also helps us start to educate and inform. By having the day off, we all learn why we get that day off. In the same way, we all have some education that leads up to holidays like, or days of observance like Remembrance Day, Halloween, Christmas, Easter. If we were to now have education and information that was tied to other Canadian communities like Lunar New Year, Ramadan and Eid, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Diwali, those kinds of holidays now don't just include those marginalized communities, but they actually educate and inform the broader community. And that's why it's necessary to not just have a few days off, additional days off for employees, but to have them off for everybody.